What's up, everybody? So, in today's video, tonight's video rather, I'm gonna take some time out and take a break from current Yu-Gi-Oh! And talk about the future. Future being what I personally believe may be the next big game mechanic for Yu-Gi-Oh! As you guys already know, Yu-Gi-Oh! As a game, we get new mechanics every year just like every other game. Well, I haven't played Magic in forever and Pokemon, so I don't know how often they get new mechanics. But Yu-Gi-Oh! For the most part, every 2 to 3 years, a new mechanic is introduced, in my opinion, to fresh things up. Over the recent years, we've had synchros summoning, which people was very controversial with, and they hated, then they eventually started to love. We had XYZs, which everyone seemed to pretty like XYZs in the beginning. I don't really remember anyone being negative about XYZs. We have pendulums, which everyone hated, myself included, and then pendulum summoning for whatever reason became one of those things that got nerfed. I think that's the only summoning mechanic that got nerfed. And then here we are in the current Link era that was very controversial because people thought it was going to help the game, and what came out to happen was we found out Konami just used it as a way to speed the game up and abuse our pockets because it officially just put pendulum summoning to the wayside. I mean, they're still good pendulum decks now, but for the most part, Link summoning kind of crapped on pendulums. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about 4 mechanics that are most likely to happen for the next Yu-Gi-Oh! Big mechanic, pretty much, or 4 things likely to happen on the next Yu-Gi-Oh! Mechanic. So, with all that being said, let's get into it. Without further ado, let's begin.
Ice on my wrist, looking kinda cool. Bad bitch with me, she ain't tryna move. Niggas staring at me, what you tryna do? Got me looking at my watch, and it's time to do.
I started by saying, this is insane because I haven't done like an actual talking video in a while, so I'm just gonna shoot straight into it and just go over everything I want to talk about. So, the first thing I'm thinking people are gonna what's gonna happen is for the next mechanic. So you gotta think about it. Next mechanic, all of our mechanics have been summoning mechanics, right? So I think Konami may potentially continue that. One thing people have been really wanting for another game mechanic is Deckmasters. Deckmasters being those things from, I think it was Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 3 when Yu-Gi-Oh! Did the dice format, when that dice dude, the Dungeon Dice Monsters, I can't really remember the Deckmasters. It's been so long since I watched the anime, but essentially it's an idea from the anime where you have your deck master, you only have 1 per deck, and essentially you can bring it in at any time. But I believe if you lose your deck master, you lose the duel. But at the same time, the deck master can help you win the duel as well. So you have to really really think about how you're gonna use your deck master. A lot of people feel like we should get deck masters because it's like, at this point, what can we really do? XYZs are cool, synchros are cool, links are cool, pendulums are like, just get those away. I really wish pendulums could be retconned. Like, I feel like no one really likes the fact you can wipe a board and the board come back, but all that pendulum complaining is old news. Deck masters could be solid because, you know, it's really reminiscent to the anime. It can get the anime fans more involved in the game, especially because a lot of them come from Duel Links. And honestly, putting a big monster on the board, let's say for example like a BLS, you can just have on the wayside. So if you're building an OTK deck, for example, and you need an extra monster to push your game, you bring out your deck master, BLS, and OTK. Or if you have a deck master that's like a trap card that says if your opponent tries to burn you for damage, bring it out, stop that damage, and then while it's on the board, if it dies, you lose. You know, there's multiple avenues Konami can go with the deck master theory. I just hope if they do pick it, they don't make it to the point where you have to run a deck master. So for example, deck master should be one of those things where it's not forced upon the player. It should be an option, kind of like how pendulums, XYZs, and synchros were. They were not forced upon the player. You literally didn't have to play those if you want to. People argue links weren't not technically forced upon the player either. However, links were. Because if you're going to compete in a competitive format and play your spam heavy deck like Masked Heroes, the hero archetype, you guys know I'm a big fan, which is why my name is Rogue Hero, you had to play the link mechanic in order to compete, or you're going to play a mediocre version of your deck. So yeah, Konami, if you guys do Deckmasters, do it that way, or just make it some way that is not overpowered, if you will. Just throw it in there, but don't make it change the game, but make it good enough to sell, which I know is going to be easier said than done. Another thing Konami can do for a next big game mechanic is one per deck type of cards. Now, I believe Magic the Gathering and Pokemon and Hearthstone also have cards that are one per deck. For example, there are certain cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! That says you can only use this effect once per duel. But why not make cards that say you can only use one copy per deck, but that card is amazing? It'll really reminisce the luck factor in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because Yu-Gi-Oh! is a luck-based game anyway. And, you know, cards like Raigeki, for example, is a good example of cards that should be one per deck if and when they decide to ever do something like that. The problem with something like this may be, you know, people may say it adds more of a sack factor to the game. But like I said, let's be honest. What else can Konami do? We've already abused the hell out of Sun mechanic. I mean, at this point, adding cards that are not spells, not traps, not monsters, but cards that are kind of similar to those that says they're once per deck, and give them some crazy effect that when you draw it and you banish it from your hand, both players reset the board or something. There's something goofy like that to add some spice to the game. I think that'll really change things up and make it more fun. I don't know what you guys think about that. One per deck type of cards, post in the comment section down below. I can also see Konami, honestly, this is my most important one. No, I'm gonna say this one for last. The next thing Konami might do, because my last one is the one I can see realistically happening, is not add a mechanic at all. Think about it. Yu-Gi-Oh! The game has been out since 2002. Here we are going into 2020. Well, at least in America, it's been out since 2002. It's been out in Japan since 1998. The game is going on in America 18 years old and over 20 years in Japan. I personally don't think we need another summoning mechanic. I'm currently content with the way how links are and pendulums are. I mean, I know down the line we probably gonna need a splash here and there to change things up, but I personally don't think Yu-Gi-Oh! Needs another summoning mechanic. I feel like the current game is fine, and a lot of players would agree with me because they feel like, what can we actually do to make the game different, if you will? Like I said, we could do Deckmaster. We can do one card per deck. Heck, I'm still a big advocate of let's introduce block format set rotation into Yu-Gi-Oh! But as one of my subscribers told me in my video I made about that, if you do that, it can potentially kill the game simply due to the fact that Yu-Gi-Oh! Having a game based around not rotating decks differentiated from other card games like Pokemon and Magic. We're the only card game that currently don't set rotate, but at the same time, it's like when you release new sets to come out, older decks are not going to be playable anyway, so I'm all for just set rotation and playing only newer decks, even if it means to kill some of my favorite archetypes like heroes and etc. But I guess Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one of those many properties that run based mainly off of nostalgia purposes, so you can't really do something to kill the nostalgia, if you will. Unlike games like Pokemon, which also runs off nostalgia, it runs off of having a successful anime with children, and Magic the Gathering has been doing set rotation since its inception, and people come to expect it. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one of those things that purely like nostalgia. Now the last thing I want to talk about, because this video is getting close to 10 minutes. On some real stuff though, the last thing I'm going to talk about is skills. Yes, that's right, skills. What are skills, if you will? Skills are something I can consider being introduced into Yu-Gi-Oh! As a new game mechanic. Skills, or something similar to skills, kind of like Duel Links, and skills come from Duel Links. They are a mechanic that essentially allows you to use a specific skill based on what happens in the game. So for example, I'm playing a hero deck, right? Let's say my skill is Skyscraper, for example. Anytime I attack with a hero, they gain 1,000 attack points. They even have certain skills in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links to say you could draw an extra card at the start of your battle phase if your life points are lower. Like, they have skills that can do all kind of things. So I can definitely see Konami introducing skills into the actual Yu-Gi-Oh! Physical card game. Because I actually read an article on the yugioh organization that was talking about the most recent YCS in Japan that held over 3,000 players. And they were interviewing the guy that runs Duel Links in the physical card game. And they were talking about how a lot of players come from Duel Links and go over into the physical card game. And what they've noticed from their statistics is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Game is not dying, it's actually growing in numbers, especially for big events, because people pick up Duel Links because of the nostalgia purposes. They get into it, they like it, they want to compete on a competitive level, and then they start transitioning into the actual physical card game. So what's an easier transition other than allowing players to have skills, which is something they're more familiar with from the actual Duel Links game? If you guys haven't noticed, Duel Links are starting to introduce more of recent archetypes into a game like for hire and things of that nature. So I definitely could see like Konami introducing skills into the actual physical card game. It personally seemed like a no-brainer and the most likely thing to happen in the upcoming format, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns is at its end. I believe the anime has ended already, so the sky's the limit for what Konami can actually do. So tell me what you guys think about this topic in the comment section down below. What do you guys personally feel like the next big game mechanic should be? Let you know. If you guys like this discussion video, you guys want to see more, hit the subscribe button for more Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. I'm uploading 3 videos a week. So with all that being said, once again, this is Rogue Hero bringing us that awesome Yu-Gi-Oh! Content, and I'm signing out. Peace and stay innovative. Deuces.